And we're getting set to go here in session 2 of the qualifiers for the 2026 Men's Gymnastics Championship from the State Farm Center in Champaign, Illinois. The final 6 teams competing tonight. There were a total of 12 teams this weekend had qualified to the championships. Just 3 from each session advanced to the final. In men's gymnastics, 4 athletes go up and all 4 scores count. For you gymnastics fans at home, you can log on to the internet, of course, and watch all of your favorite teams and every routine that they do. Penn State will open up on the floor, Navy on the pommel horse, Illinois will be on the ring, Stanford on the vault, Michigan parallel bars, and Army on the high bar. So we're gonna do our broadcast here for ESPN Plus, but if you're missing a routine from one of your favorite teams, remember you can follow every routine streaming on the ESPN Plus platform. Carson Eschliman will be the leadoff for the reigning NCAA champions, the Michigan Wolverines. Bart Connor and Brody Malone calling the action here.
Big straddled front 1 1/4 there to start the routine off.
Michigan's quite a balanced team. They're top 5 on all 6 events in the country.
It's really important for this leadoff guy to put down a really good routine, and he just did it. Very cleanly done. Just a 3/10 hop forward on that dismount.
You mentioned how important it is to get off to a good start. What does that do to the team morale?
Absolutely. I mean, the leadoff guy, the first guy that goes up in your lineup, his job is to set the tone for the rest of the rotation. His job is to go up, hit a good, solid routine. It may not be the highest scoring routine of the rotation, but it's just to get the team going off and get them to a strong start.
All right. Jake Pravtarian for Army on the high bar.
First up on the rings, from Simpson, Alex Campbell.
Wow, very flexible shoulder work here. I think if I did that, my shoulders would explode.
Remarkable how strong and yet flexible most of these athletes are.
Absolutely. Really good end bar worker. Really taking advantage of that into the dismount. It was a very nice routine.
Jake at 5'10", he's about a head taller than most of the gymnasts here in the competition.
Next up on the floor for Simpson.
The prototype gymnast is about 5'6" and 145 to 60 pounds, wouldn't you say?
That's me right there.
There you go. Okay. Pierce Wolfgang now for Michigan. Second up on parallel bars. Carson Eschliman led them off with a solid 13-4-3-3. Expect to see scores all day long between about 13 and 15 points. Judging here is comparable to the world and Olympic competition. The rules here are just exactly the same as they have in international competition for men's NCAA gymnastics. Open scoring system.
Absolutely. That's why you see a lot of high-level athletes, as we mentioned before. The NCAA is kind of a pipeline into Team USA gymnastics. So we can really use the NCAA season as a way to prep for those international competitions. And that's exactly what these athletes are doing. That was a really good routine.
There are some teams like Michigan and Stanford in this session. They don't have to have a perfect night. Their goal is just to hit and get on through to the championship tomorrow. Other teams, the pressure's on in terms of being that 3rd spot qualifier, right?
Absolutely. I think the goal for Stanford and Michigan tonight is to just get out there, get the nerves out, salute your hand in front of a judge, hit some routines, and just kind of get those nerves out and just prepare for tomorrow.
Remember, just 3 out of 6 teams will advance to the championship final. And as we said at the top of the show, expect Michigan and Stanford to be 2 of those 3. And there are 4 other teams that will be vying for that 3rd and final spot, assuming things go according to plan.
Next up on the horizontal bar from Air Force,
Wade Nelson. for Stanford on the vault.
Wow, really nice vault there. Really great form coming onto the table. That's exactly what the judges are looking for there. Let's take a look. So this is the point of view that the judges have. Just a small little leg split from that springboard to the table. And great form in the air. Really powerful vault. See how he just had a little bit too much juice there and hopped forward. That's a really strong start for Stanford.
Typically, vault is the highest scoring event of all 6, just because it's basically only one skill. There's fewer areas for deductions compared to the other events where you have to do a minimum of 8 counting skills. Solon Chiotti for Michigan will be next up. Pierce Wolfgang had a 13.266. Braden Erickson on the left of your screen on floor for Penn State here in this first rotation.
Really strong start for Braden.
Next up on powers, Navy, Jonah Schultz.
On the right side of your screen, you should be gearing up for a dismount on P-bars. Here it comes.
Nice job.
Very nice double front dismount. Just stuck it. He's very happy with that. And a great dismount for Braden, too, on floor.
Penn State over there on the left of your screen, currently in number 6 ranked team in the country. They have had, like some of the others, a variety of injuries that have held them back this year. Here's Chiotti's dismount.
Wow.
We'll head back over to vault for Stanford. Cooper Kim will be next up. Wade Nelson had a 13.933. You might explain start values on vault. It's a little bit different than some of the other apparatus.
Yeah, so there's different entry styles of vault. So we'll see guys doing a Sukahara type entry versus a Yurchenko type entry. And basically what it boils down to is how many twists they do in the air. That's how they get their start value. So you'll see this is a Sukahara entry with 2.5 twists. Done very, very nicely.
Clean execution.
Absolutely.
That'll score well. Garrett Schooley on rings now for the host team, the University of Illinois.
See that backup rise to a straight planche. The judges are looking for that to be completely flat. They're also looking for a 2-second hold. If you hold it any less than 2 seconds, that leaves room for deduction.
In terms of event averages, this is one of the best events for University of Illinois, so they chose to start on the rings to get a good start here in the bank, and that'll do it.
Wow, a great tuck double dismount. We're gonna see a lot of those today. Saw a lot of sticks in the first session.
Brad Richard will be up on parallel bars now. Anxious to see him perform here today. He, as we saw, did very little in the training yesterday. He's mostly doing mental training, trying to save his body for the next couple of years, including the 2028 Olympics.
Wow, that was a really difficult skill that he just mounted with, called a front uprise to Stutz. He's been working on that for a few years now, and that's probably the best that I've ever seen him compete at.
As Lauren mentioned, he's one of the biggest stars on the planet in gymnastics. He brings a lot of attention to the sport, and deservedly so.
Absolutely. He's one of those athletes that you can tell just has a really great foundation for the sport.
Look at that. Nothing to it.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. You see how much control he has of his body. Right here's this front upright stutz. I cannot express how hard that skill is. I've worked that for years.
Me too. I've dreamed of it and thought there's no way it's humanly possible, and he did it effortlessly.
Let's take another look at this dismount. He just knows exactly where he's at in the air and is able to break out and just drop right into that landing.
What is it about Fred Richards that makes him unique?
Oh my gosh, he's just one of those athletes that has, like I was saying, a great basic foundation for the sport, and he just understands gymnastics.
That goes for the same for Asher Hong from Stanford, one of the best vaulters in the world.
Wow. That was a great vault from Asher, but he's capable of doing a lot more. Let's look at him head on here. See, great form onto the board. You can see his toes just glued together in the air.
Asher Hong, the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation Gymnast of the Year. He's only doing 4 events today. He had a bit of an injury early on in the year, so we're going to see him on everything except floor and high bar today in this qualification round. But he's a gamer, isn't he?
Absolutely.
He shows up. Sean Smith now for Penn State on floor.
Very big mount there. That's a double layout with a full twist. Very hard pass.
High score for the Nittany Lions over there was Braden Erickson's 13.366 in the leadoff spot. Dropped down a little bit to Kellen Ryan, who had only a 12.333. People following the scores on the right side of your screen, you can see the individual scores for each of the athletes as well as the running team totals. You might wonder why those are some funky numbers, 3, 6, 3, 3 and such. There are 5 judges. They throw the high and low out, and they average 3 scores in the middle. Oh, what a save.
Yeah, that one was really close. I think he stayed on his feet, though.
It's possible. Have to take a look at that, because if your feet don't land first, it could be a full point deduction. Counts as a fall. Let's see if he... Let's see if he saved that landing or not.
Let's take another look at this. Good look at his dismount there. It was a double back twist, or back flip with a full twist there.
June E.Y. now, the freshman out of Dallas for Stanford. Oh, so good.
Oh my God.
He's coming after Asher Hong, had their high score over there, 14.3. Stanford will be in the lead without question. Outstanding on the vault in that first rotation.
Well, that's a really great Maltese there. And so that skill's called a Nakayama, a bounce to iron cross.
Preston Nye for Illinois, the host team. Garrett Schooley led them off with a 13.166. Sam Phillips at a 12.833. Illinois is going to have an excellent day today to be one of those 3 teams to qualify into tomorrow's championship final. They've been racked with injuries this year, and they're going to need to hit just like that. Wow.
Wow.
Nothing to it.
Oh my gosh, you can see all the students in the background, the fans coming to cheer them on.
Oh.
The hometown crowd. Let's take another look at this dismount here. We're gonna see a lot of these today, but he does it exceptionally well. You can see his knees glued together in the air, just drops right into it.
Preston Nye, one of the team captains, delivering under pressure. Talked to Daniel Ribeiro, the head coach at Illinois, the other day, and not only is he hosting this meet, of course, he's been quite nervous about whether his team is going to be at full strength in order to contend for one of those championship spots. He said this year they were just racked with a whole bunch of fluky type injuries. They hope to build on the success they had at the Big Ten Championships, had a good meet there. He said the talent is there, but the last few weeks of preparation is all starting to come together. But this team, starting back in the fall, lost some of their stars and has had to just patchwork it together all year long. Donnie Osborne, one of the assistant coaches for many years here at Illinois, giving Hassan Adogdu lift to the rings. Preston Nye, a 13-7-3-3. Those scores are outstanding in this first rotation for the host team.
Wow. Some great strength to start the routine off. Azarian Maltese and then to a backup rise Maltese. Now moving on to the swinging elements of his routine. Should be gearing up for the dismount here. Oh, he got it!
All right, there will be a deduction for bending over more than 90 degrees, but man, his feet certainly didn't move, did they?
He's definitely going to get a deduction for having his chest down on the landing, but hey, he got a stick. And he got a bonus 10 for stick.
Oh, yes, he did.
You see, this is the backup rise to Maltese.
That's basically impossible,
yeah.
isn't it?
That is such a hard skill.
Look at how his body quivers to hold that strength.
Take
move.
another look
Incredible.
at this dismount. Oh, chest down a little bit.
A lot. But my feet.
But he held on to it. Oh, that is awesome.
Oh, we mentioned they had injuries. Ian Sandoval, their best athlete, got hurt back in the fall, and that was not the way to start the season, no question about it. Brian Solomon on pommel horse here for Navy. Navy came into this competition ranked 11th out of the 12 teams. This is one of their best events.
It's been a great routine so far. Just a little leg split there. Oh, little bobble on that dismount, but not bad at all. That's a great routine.
All right, Lauren is with the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
Coach Shao, you decided to go with P-bars first. What was the strategy behind that?
We had a P-bar, and that's we are great events. And also we had another event to follow up, like the high bar, and we finished on the ball. That's a good event for the higher score, and that's what we pick for P-bars.
There's certainly a strategy here in this session for you all going into tomorrow. Take us through that strategy and holding back some of the routines.
Yeah, it's a 2 days competition. So first day just a qualification. So second day is the final. So we reserve some routine for tomorrow, and just for the physical and the mental preparation, that's what we do.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
As we said at the top of the show, there is a few teams with the luxury of coasting a little bit on day one, and that includes Stanford and Michigan. The others are going to fight for that third and final spot. We're off to a great start here in the evening session of the qualifications. We're back in Champaign, Illinois. We've just finished the first rotation here in the final Session 2 qualifier. Stanford and Michigan and Illinois, the top three in that first rotation, first out of 6 rotations. And Illinois was just lights out on rings, weren't they, Brody?
Absolutely, sticking all 4 routines, and that's a big deal because when you stick, you get a 10th bonus.
Right.
And the difference between a 3/10 hop and a sticking, get a 10th bonus. That's a 4/10 swing, and they did that on all 4 routines.
4 for 4 in front of the home crowd. It was pretty impressive. And as we talked to their coach earlier this week, Daniel Ribeiro, he was really concerned about this team being fully healthy enough to get through this meet, but they did a great job in that first rotation.
Absolutely, off to a really strong start. And that's exactly how you want to start the meet.
You know, we saw last year, we were at University of Michigan, and in front of their home crowd, the Wolverines were just so comfortable, and they just kept rocking their landings as well, and they earned that title just barely over the Stanford Cardinal. Maybe Illinois is getting a little of that hometown magic because they're planting those landings on rings to get off to an awesome start. Steel Ring's one of the best events nationally in terms of scoring averages for Illinois, and they'll move from there to a very high scoring event. That would be the vault, which is also among the highest scoring events in men's gymnastics. Remember, you can watch your favorite team. You can see every routine from your favorite team. Army will be on floor in this rotation, Penn State on horse, Navy on rings. Illinois goes to the vault, as we mentioned. Stanford will be on the parallel bars. And on the high bar is Michigan. There's Jaden Blank. Really interesting story about these athletes who are at the service academies. He's in, of course, it goes to at Army. Talk about not only are these amazing student athletes, but Brody, can you imagine having that daily schedule every day? No. And still being a world-class gymnast?
No, absolutely not. I don't understand how these guys do it.
Hats off to all the athletes competing at the service academies. In today's competition, we have teams, complete teams from Army and Navy. Air Force did not make it this year as a full team, but enormous appreciation to these young men who are not only amazing athletes, but they will all go on to serve America in many important ways. It's very inspiring, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. He's off to a really strong start on this routine. I think he's stuck 3 of his 4 passes so far. That's really good.
Blank is a solid all-arounder. He's a German major. He spent last semester abroad. He competed for what's called the Bundesliga, which is a German club program. He competed for 5 or 6 meets internationally there. It was a great experience for him and his confidence competing in pressure situations.
Absolutely. The Bundesliga is kind of similar to the NCAA in a sense that it's a team-based competition, but you don't get many of those in gymnastics. But whenever you get a chance to compete for a team, it's always a great learning experience, and it seems like he definitely took advantage of that.
Pierce Wolfgang will lead off high bar for University of Michigan. Stanford, as expected, has the lead after vault, just about 2 points over Michigan in that first rotation.
Little fingertip there on that release. A little fingertip there too. Oh, here's something interesting.
Oh man, that
These
hurts.
are called German giants. Those are probably the most painful skills in gymnastics right there. You're not going to see a lot of people doing that.
And a triple back. Oh, amazing.
That was an awesome routine. We talk about those German giants, the guys that can do it. There's a select few guys in the world that can do that.
Yeah, usually they're built a little differently. Pierce Wolfgang, it looks quite muscular, but he still has the shoulder flexibility to do this brutal move.
So this is actually 3 skills kind of built into this little sequence here. And the way he does it, it's easy to do it very cleanly, so you can really maximize your execution here. And then we see this awesome triple back dismount. Oh my gosh. That's going to be a good score.
He was 3rd at the Big Tens this year on high bar, ranked number 4 in the country, and he's the leadoff guy for Michigan. Arun Chetri now leadoff for Stanford on parallel bar.
Interesting way to mount the bar. It's called a free hip mount. Does it from the single rail. Wow, this routine is jam-packed. Oh. Wow. That was a fast routine.
Stanford, the 10-time NCAA champions.
Take a look at this dismount again. Really great. Knees about shoulder width apart. That's what you're looking for.
From Michigan, next up on rings from Navy,
Garrett Lawless, senior out of North Carolina, now for Navy on the rings. And Tate Costa will be the first Illinois vaulter in this second rotation. Illinois had a great start on the rings.
Vault, as you were mentioning, Bart, is one of those higher scoring events, so it's something that they really need to take advantage of. And that was a great start for their vault run. Although that wasn't the highest start value vault that we're going to see today, he executed it very well, and that's still going to score well.
Tate Costa, one of the team captains for Illinois, recovering from a broken ankle, so still delivered a solid vault in that opening spot.
Nice dismount there. Let's take another look at some of these strength skills.
What are the judges looking for in these positions?
So they want your body to be completely flat, and they want your shoulders to be level with the bottom of the rings. Anything above that, you leave room for deduction. So that can be a 1 to a 3/10.
And essentially, you don't get credit for the hold until you hold it for 2 seconds.
Absolutely, and that starts the second that your body stops moving.
Kasper Gonczarek now, the senior from Katowice, Poland for Penn State. This is traditionally one of the great events for Penn State.
See, Kasper is definitely one of those taller gymnasts. See, most of the pommel guys, the really good pommel guys that we're going to see are going to be your taller, skinnier guys here. He definitely fits that build. He's doing a great routine here.
You can almost tell when a team walks into an arena. You go, there's your ring guy, and there's your pommel horse guy, just by their body styles.
Absolutely, absolutely. Your ring guys are going to be your short, stocky, super strong guys. Your pommel horse guys are going to be those tall, lanky guys.
On high bar for Michigan is Carson Eshelman. Dylan Shepard on vault for Illinois.
Oh, I don't think he stuck it, but that was a really good landing. That was the first Yurchenko-style vault that we've seen tonight. So as I was mentioning before, there's different entry styles on vault, and he opted to do the Yurchenko, which is traditionally a much cleaner vault because you don't necessarily have the leg split from the springboard to the table. Oh, another triple back dismount.
Really impressive, the difficulty that Michigan is showing on all the apparatus.
Another look at this vault here. You can see his legs are just glued together in the air. And just a little shuffle of that foot. Oh, and this is a high flying release move. That's called a Cassina. So that is a double layout over the bar with a full twist.
Asher Hong now on parallel bars. I can't believe he's a senior already.
Oh my gosh.
Seemed like he just joined college the other day.
I know, he's still a freshman in my mind.
He's one of the team captains, Olympic team bronze medalist, along with you, Brody, in Paris, member of the U.S. national team.
And he is really solid on this event.
8-time NCAA champion, including once on the parallel bars.
See, he's one of those gymnasts that's similar to Fred. He just has really great control of his body. He has phenomenal basic foundation. He just sticks that double front with a half twist. He sticks that probably 95% of the time.
That's just not human. Oh my goodness. He had a sprained ankle at the World Championships this past fall, and so he's been limited a little bit, but boy, didn't certainly affect this routine.
This skill right here is called a makuts. It's very, very intricate. And it's a bit risky. It's a higher valued skill. And there's a lot of areas for deductions that the judges can take, but he does it so well. And then into this dismount, you see he just spots the ground right there. I'm telling you, 95% of the time he sticks up.
2-time U.S. all-around champion, including last year, USA Gymnastics. Fred Richard now set to go on the high bar.
This is one of Fred's best events. He's really capable of doing some incredible release moves. We'll see one here.
Here we go.
The Casina. Oh, a little bit fingertipped on that, but done really cleanly. Into the layout to Tkachev there. Interesting construction here. He's opting to, typically guys will do their Kovacsing elements, so the Casinas and the Colemans that he just did together and then do the Tkachevs. But he mixed it up. He did Casina first, Tkachev, and then back to the Coleman, and then another Tkachev. I don't think I've ever seen him do this routine construction, but it's working out for him.
Isn't it interesting that somebody with so much talent can go up there and just almost not really improvise, but you know, put his skills in different order depending on how he feels.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is the Casina that I was talking about. Does that with pretty much perfect form there. There's not much for the judges to take on that. And we'll take a look at this dismount here. This is a double-double laid out, so 2 flips, 2 twists in the air. And he breaks out to spot that landing.
David Shama now on parallel bars, using a mount similar to what you used to do, Brody.
Absolutely. The side
Oh,
bar.
no.
Oh! Oh, that's really unfortunate. So he was trying to do that skill that I was talking about with Asher, the makuts, yeah. And like I was saying, it's a really risky skill.
Important time to bring this up. Remember, in men's college gymnastics, 4 athletes compete. You count all 4 scores. Now, a fall off the apparatus is a full point deduction.
Yeah, and you can see he just got his toes a little bit too far to the other side. That's why that skill is so risky. We'll see if he tries to repeat it here. And he does. Much better this time.
Rita Malik on horse for Penn State at the same time.
Oh, wow. Front uprise to Diamondov. And a front uprise stitch. So that's exactly what we saw from Fred. Those are 2 extremely hard skills.
I think they're among the hardest skills in all of the sport.
They are.
Okay, so that 1 point deduction will hurt them, although Stanford had 3 outstanding routines before that on parallel bars, including Asher Hong's 14.3. But a missed opportunity there for David Shama.
Let's take another look at this dismount here. Just broke out. What's really important when you have a fall like that, because this is a format where it's 4 up, 4 count, there's not a lot of room for error. So if you do mess up, you've got to be able to pull the routine back together and finish strong, because you're going to count that score one way or another.
Back over to vault for Illinois, Garrett Schooley. Oh, yes. One of the toughest vaults in the world.
Wow. That was a phenomenal vault. That's one of the hardest vaults that we're going to see this whole weekend.
Explain what's going on here.
Oh my gosh, so this is the Sukahara entry, and then he does, instead of 2.5, which most of the guys we're gonna see are gonna do, he does 3 twists in the air, which is so incredibly hard. I've trained that skill my entire life, and I've never been able to compete it. And he just does it, he makes it look like he does it every day.
Schooley's score comes in as a 14-5, so solid effort for Illinois in that second rotation, that on vault. Landon Simpson now for Penn State. So far, the first 3 gymnasts for Penn State have all been between 13.066 and 13.2. Anyone with a score in the 13s on pommel horse is pretty darn respectable.
Very nice flare work here. Judges are looking for, when you're doing flare work like this, your legs are supposed to be completely spread open the entire time you're doing it. If there's any sort of hip close or leg close, that's room for deduction, but he did that very nicely. That's a solid routine.
Normally a strong event for Penn State. They were a little bit off at the Big Ten Championship. Simpson only had an 11.85.
Just see in the replay of these flares just how much amplitude he has over the horse. Just able to stay open and extended throughout that flare work.
I mentioned some of their injuries as well. Coach Randy Jepson, in his 35th year at Penn State, said, yeah, this is more injuries than he's dealt with in a long time. Ian Rawball is out. Luke Esparro, Matt Underhill is not doing the same number of events he normally does. So Randy Jepson's message to his team is you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I like that.
Now, Kellen Ryan will go up, and it's important to explain that athletes, there's 4 up and 4 count. The team score is finished for Penn State. However, Kellen Ryan is now going up additionally as an individual all-around specialist, because if for some reason Penn State does not qualify to the championship session tomorrow, Kellen Ryan is hoping to qualify as an individual in the all-around. That's why he's allowed to go up 5th. He will not count towards the team score, but it does count towards his effort in the all-around.
This has been a good routine so far. He's a little off there, but was able to bring it back. That was a good routine, but he's going to be missing some points on that dismount there. So typically what the judges are looking for is a pirouette at the end of that dismount, and he did not do that. So that'll drop his start value down anywhere from 3 to 4/10.
All right, the Fighting Illini off to an outstanding start in those first 2 events on rings and vault. Let's go down to Lauren. She's with their head coach, Daniel Ribeiro.
Coach, a very solid start on the first 2 events. What are you liking from your team so far?
They're just staying very calm and collected. I think being at home, having the home crowd has been a great push for them. First 2 events went excellent, 4-6 on rings, and we just got to keep it rolling.
We're feeling the energy here in session 2 a lot more. How are they giving you a lift, this crowd here tonight?
They're incredible. I mean, they were all standing behind rings after every stick. It just felt like there was 15,000 people right there. So fans are doing a great job.
You've taken us through a lot of the injuries you've faced this season, but your team remains resilient. How have you seen that continue here into the postseason?
It's been incredible. I mean, it's just one after the next. We just kept having little things pop up, and they just never let it phase them. They stayed focused, they stayed strong, and here we are.
And what needs to happen on these next 4 to get it done for tonight?
Same thing. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to stay on the equipment, get some hits, and we should be good if we can keep rolling like this.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Lauren. Okay, Stanford will have the lead after 2 rotations. Michigan behind them, and Illinois, after that outstanding start on the first 2 events, is currently in 3rd. Penn State is over 4 points behind Illinois in 4th. Remember, the top 3 advance, and nobody else goes beyond that. 2 rotations are in the books here in session 2 qualifier. Stanford still in the lead after 2. It's Michigan in 2nd. Illinois off to an outstanding start, but a little distance between them and Penn State, who is over 4 points behind the 3rd place team. The goal tonight is the top 3 survive and advance to the championship tomorrow night, which will be on ESPN2. In addition to team competition, this weekend we'll be crowning champions in each individual event as well as the all-around. There are several athletes competing in today's competition as individuals. Their teams did not qualify as a complete team. Here are the leaders in those individual apparatus to this point. Once again, a reminder that you can see all your favorite routines. In this rotation, number 3, Michigan will be on floor. Army goes to horse. Penn State on rings. Navy on the vault. Illinois will be on parallel bars. And the Stanford Cardinal will be on high bar.
At this time, we proudly request that any current or former members of our armed forces please stand if able to be recognized.
I mentioned Michigan will be on floor in this 3rd rotation, but before Michigan competes, Braxton Jones will be competing as an individual. Braxton out of Simpson College, which is in Iowa. It's a program not unlike Greenville. It's only in about its 4th year of existence. Braxton competing as an individual specialist.
First up on the floor, from Simpson, Braxton Jones. First up on pommel horse, from Simpson, William Bacchus.
Really strong start for Braxton there. We see a lot of these athletes on floor really taking advantage of those connection passes. So one flip and then punching into another, and that's a way for them to get bonus depending on the value of each of those skills.
On the right of your screen on parallel bars from Air Force Academy is Ty Gopal competing as an individual. Air Force was here last year with a full team. This year got edged out, not earning a spot in the top 12 to make it into these championships.
See Braxton taking advantage by doing another one of those connection passes. So that actually gets him 1/10 in bonus just for connecting those 2 skills together.
Braxton Jones, nice job there. Colin Payne is the head coach at Simpson College. He and his wife, Emily Barrett Payne, she coaches the women's team there in a program that's only in its 4th year of existence. They have a new young baby, so congratulations to them. Daniel Gurovich now for Navy on vault.
First up on rings, from Simpson, Noah Gilbert.
And a strong vault.
Navy currently the 10th ranked team in the country.
Take a look here, little bit of a leg separation, but good amplitude off the table, and you see he spots that ground maybe landed with his chest a little bit low there. The judges will definitely take note.
Talking to Kip Simons, the head coach at Navy the other day, and he said, you know, with Daniel Gurovich, the junior out of Frisco, Texas, he said, you can always pencil in a clean hit routine from him every time. And every team would like to have a guy like this young man who can always hit. He's
Absolutely.
Reliable.
Absolutely.
Especially in this 4-up, 4-count scenario. Jake Islam now for Michigan on floor.
Strong first pass there. That was a front flip with 2.5 twists. Really hard. To a front double pike there. An interesting transition there. So one of the cool rules that they made starting this year is you'll see these athletes, after every pass, they have to transition into the corner to get ready for their next pass.
Right.
All of the transitions have to be different now. That used to not be a rule, but they changed it this year to just create some variety. So you'll see all these athletes, if they don't, or if they repeat a transition that they've already done, that's actually a deduction. So the judges have to keep up with that.
The judge is trying to encourage a little more artistry in men's floor exercise, because for the last quadrennium at least, the gymnasts would just do a tumbling pass and turn around and go back the other way. They're hoping to create a little bit more artistry. Not every gymnast can do it well, though, can they?
No. It's a struggle for a lot of guys. I know it's a struggle for me. Nice little celebration there. Down to P-bars. Oh, that was a bit of a mistake right there. He meant to take that all the way to the handstand.
Jared Fry, another athlete from Air Force Academy, competing here as an individual. We saw earlier Ty Gopal score a 12.466.
Just really looking to have a clean rest of the routine here. Another bit of a hand bobble there. I don't know if he caught a finger on that or what. Should see a dismount here. Let's take another look at this dismount here. So he got good amplitude off the bar, but didn't quite finish that half twist around and wasn't able to prep for that landing as well as he hoped.
Leadoff performer for Stanford on high bar will be Nicholas Kubler, the senior out of Seattle.
This guy is really fun to watch. He is a phenomenal high bar swinger.
And
he's capable of doing some really crazy release moves. I don't think we'll see quite his full potential in that aspect in this routine, but we're still going to see some high flying release moves here. So right here, oh, that Casino, oh, that was beautifully done. Just perfect form.
On the right side of your screen on pommel horse for Army is Noah Duran.
Into that Tkachev work. Nicholas looks like he's just catching those releases a little bit close, which the judges are definitely taking note of. So if you catch a release move with bent elbows, it can be a 1/10 up to a 3/10 deduction, depending on the severity of it. But a stick.
And a 1/10 bonus for that stick.
That was a good routine from Nick. So what Nicholas does really well here is, you can tell he's a little bit close, but look at the pressure he has on that bar, and he's able to push his body away to keep the swing going around the bar here. Now the dismount, stuck it.
Sam Kaplan will be first up for Illinois on parallel bars here in this third rotation. Illinois currently in third place as a team. Closest competitor for that final spot into the championship tomorrow night as Penn State is a little over 4 points behind. So if Illinois could keep up this consistency, the home team would be in the championship round tomorrow.
Little wonky on that landing, but
those stiff leg landings just make you cringe.
Oh, they're scary. But that was a strong routine for Illinois. They've had a phenomenal first 2 events. They really just need to ride this momentum and keep it going throughout the rest of the meet.
Cooper Kim will be next up, the sophomore from Grand Ledge, Michigan. And Solon Chiotti will be up for Michigan on floor at the same time.
Strong first pass there. You can tell he's juiced. That was a big hop forward on that, and that's a really hard pass to over-rotate.
We're talking to head coach at Michigan, Xiao Yuan, the other day, and we were asking him a little bit about Solon Chiotti, and he said he's kind of like Brody Malone. He always works hard and never complains. Every team would like to have a Brody Malone for sure.
Well, thanks, Coach Xiao. That's awesome. So you see him doing the Russian work on the floor there. That's part of his non-acrobatic element. We'll see all the athletes on floor have to do the non-acrobatic element, whether it's those Russian elements or a press to handstand.
Cooper Kim on the high bar, off to an awesome start.
Oh, that's a really cool skill.
All right. Nicholas Kubler with a 13.366 to lead them off. Stanford not holding back.
Really strong high bar team. Into the Coleman here. Whoa, whoa. Into the dismount. Wow, that was a great routine. So this is a really unique skill, and he does it in connection. So that's called a talk full into what's called a Winkler, which is a G-valued skill. Extremely hard to do. And then he does a Coleman, which is a double backflip over the bar with a full twist right before his dismount. So I guess he just doesn't get tired.
Brody, you have a little history with that skill, the Winkler on high bar, don't you?
Oh, I do.
It's a long story.
Don't get me started on that.
Back to parallel bars now. Tate Costa. Sam Kaplan had a 13.2 to lead them off. Illinois doing what they need to do to hold on to a spot for the championship final.
It's been a good start to the routine so far. Oh. He was a little bit off on that Makut's. That was the skill that David Shama fell off on. Really tricky element.
Landon Blixt on floor for Michigan on the right side of your screen. Oh, that was
beautiful. Beautiful double layout.
It's like the second flip was actually a little bit higher than the first one. That's hard to do.
That's textbook right there.
Right there.
So that skill actually got upgraded. After every Olympics, the FIG changes the code of points, and they'll upgrade some skills and devalue some skills. That was one of the skills on floor that got upgraded from a D value to an E. So we've seen a lot more guys doing it now. And he just does it perfectly.
An A skill is worth 1/10, a B, 2, C, so on. So an E skill is worth 5/10 of a point towards your start value. Where the judges are calculating your start value, your event requirements, and then deducting points for execution. That was a great routine.
A phenomenal routine. Really good, really controlled on those landings. Take a look at this pass. This double out, you can see like even his toes were pointed in the air.
Randy Jepson, the head coach at Penn State for over 35 years, giving a boost to Kellen Ryan now up on the rings in this third rotation. In the last rotation, we saw Kellen Ryan on pommel horse competing for an all-around spot. Well, he is one of their 4 best ring guys, and so he's competing now here also for the team as well as his individual all-around effort in this particular event.
From the University of Illinois, Sam Phillips.
Oh, he held on to it. And he's happy with that routine.
Sam Phillips on parallel bars, meanwhile, for Illinois. Tate Costa and Sam Kaplan both had 13 twos in their first 2 routines for the Fighting Illini.
Sam
Nice.
is just phenomenal in this event.
His underbar work is world class.
It absolutely is. So those first 2 elements that he did were called peach baskets. He did one, the first one with a half turn, and the second one went straight to handstand, and that's about as good as you can do it.
All right. Oh! The home team feeling the energy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it.
Stick count for Illinois.
Let's take a look at some of that underbar work. It really is remarkable.
Oh my God.
Pressure through the bottom and how he just launches from the bottom.
That is just textbook the way he does that. His technique on that. It's so important to have good technique on that, you know, dropping away into that basket. That's something that I've struggled with for a long time.
It's a lot easier said than done.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, well done. Sam Phillips, expect a good score there. Zach Green will be the final competitor for Stanford Cardinal on high bar. Look at their scores. All 13 threes, and then June EY a 13.666.
Zach Green, one of those athletes that has kind of always been at Stanford. He was part of the Stanford Boys Club. So even though I wasn't on the team with him, I always saw him in the gym because they would come into practice right after us. And he's got some awesome release moves here. And then here we go back into the German Giants, which we will not see a lot of people do today. He does those really well. Not a lot of room for the judges to take deductions on those. And a triple back. That was a really great routine.
Both of his parents competed for the Bay Area rival, California. I wonder what that took for him to say, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm going to go to Stanford. You okay with that?
I'm sure they were fine with it. Take another look at this dismount here. 3 flips after he lets go of the bar. And he has to somehow find his feet. That's just really hard to do.
We've seen 3 hit routines over on parallel bars for Illinois. Sam Phillips had their high score there, a 13.933. Here's the 4th and final competitor for the Illini on P-bars, Dylan Shepard.
Good start there. Ooh, interesting move there. We're not going to see a lot of that this weekend. Front rise into the hop half turn. Into a Bobzar. That's actually a really cool release move on the P-bars. Very similar to doing a Tkachev on a high bar. And if you're listening at home and kind of wondering, what language am I speaking right now? So, oh, really cool dismount. I believe he's the only one that we'll see do that dismount. But as I was saying,
they're feeling the energy here.
if you're wondering what language we're speaking at home here, so all of the skills in gymnastics are named after the athletes who competed them first. So, wow, that's a very cool skill there. Goes all the way down and has to kit back up to get to the center of the bar. This is that Bobzar.
Oh, man.
Named
Beautiful.
after Raj Bobzar, a very decorated U.S. gymnast. And this is the cool dismount. A double pike off the end of the bar. I believe that's the only one of those we're going to see today. And it's so hard because you have to worry about the grip on the end of the bar at the end of the routine. And your hands are so tired by the end of a routine. So to be able to hang on and do that dismount is just crazy.
So Stanford Cardinal has the lead at the halfway point in the competition, and Lauren is with their head coach, Tom Gleamy.
Coach, a healthy lead here going after 3 rotations. What has been the strategy for your team in this first session?
Always the same, which is all business. Let's get it done, not use emotional energy. We'll save that for tomorrow, especially when you're in the second session. There's not as much recovery, so we need to be very efficient and keep as much gas in the tank as we can.
You've had a lot of routines unavailable this season. How has your team adjusted to that?
It's been a process for sure. I think some guys weren't expecting themselves to be in the mix, and now as the season progressed, they've realized they need to show up, and it's been great. Clearly we want some routines in the mix with the big difficulty, but nationally it seems like the E score is much heavier of an influence on what the final score is, so we've pulled back on some of our difficulty and really focused on the E.
All right, and the focus on these last 3?
Same thing, hit, do our job, hit, keep it moving, and see where we end up and go from there.
All right, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren and Tom. Yeah, we mentioned the E score. That's the execution score. Stanford well known for doing very difficult routines, but Tom Gleamy has realized, well, we need to focus on execution as well.
Absolutely. That's something that, ever since I was a Stanford gymnast, we've always focused on pushing that difficulty score. We want to do the hardest routines possible. But now, since the code has changed a little bit, it's been more of a focus on the execution. I mean, the end goal for these teams is to win a national championship, and they got to play the game a little bit to do that.
So Stanford has the lead, followed by Michigan and Illinois. Illinois is 7 points ahead of Penn State in that 4th spot. Dylan Shepard, by the way, on parallel bars in that last routine, had a 13.866. When we come back, it'll be rotation 4, and we'll have a special guest in the booth with us as well. Now we're back here in Champaign, Illinois, getting set for the second half of this competition. It's Stanford, Michigan, and Illinois, the 3 teams looking to advance to tomorrow's championship round. There are individual qualifiers, as we mentioned, who are competing for individual accolades here at these championships, and there are some of the scores from the previous rotation, including 3 athletes from the Air Force Academy. Speaking of the Air Force Academy and world-class gymnasts, we got Patty Hoops with us. He's a legend for many reasons. Of course, bronze medalist at the most recent World Championships on the pommel horse, and along with the gold medalist on the high bar. So we got a lot of hardware here among you guys. Glad to have you here, Patty. And tell us what your impression of the meet is so far.
I think it's been great so far. I mean, it looks like everyone's doing their best, especially from Stanford and Michigan. Watching their routines, they seem to be just putting down the best sets they can currently and just pushing through and trying to show off for the crowd.
I know you both are focused on 2028 and the Los Angeles Olympics. Where are you in your process now? Of course, your eligibility at Air Force Academy is finished, but you're doing your service for the country as a pommel horse specialist and traveling the world and representing not only the U.S., but Air Force Academy.
Yeah. So I work at the Air Force, so they have a program especially made for Olympic sports called the World Class Athlete Program, and that's what I'm a part of. We have about 16 athletes that are a part of it, and pretty much the Air Force allows us to keep training and doing our sports to keep, pushing for the dream of going to the Olympics.
Well, we wish you the best. We'd love you to sit in with us for a few minutes if you don't mind.
Yeah,
and provide
of course.
some commentary. You're probably so good we're going to lose our jobs. But remember, you can follow your favorite teams on the app. So we mentioned individuals competing in this rotation, and that brings us to Air Force on the pommel horse.
Yeah, it might be a little biased watching this routine. Sam Brown has been a teammate for me for 3 years before at the academy, and also a horse specialist. So we spent a lot of time together in the gym. So I know he's capable of putting down a really good set right here.
Well, why don't you take the call on this routine? Help us out here.
Okay. Nice scissor, leg finished decently high up. There you go. That's his bazoogo. I'd say it's tends to be a skill that he somewhat struggles on in practice, but that was just about as best I've ever seen him do it. Yeah, a little bit of a fight, especially in these travels, but overall, body shape looks clean and tight. Oh! And again, a little bit of a fight, but it was a solid routine from Sam Brown.
Now, anytime you can get off of the horse without falling, to me is an accomplishment. Yeah. Maybe not to you. You probably have a little bit higher standards than I do.
You see right there on his bazoogo, I mean, it looked great. A little bit of a hip break, especially coming around in the back, but that's about as good as I've seen him do it, maybe even better than most of the times I see he did it in warm-up today. So, and a little bit of a pause here, but he stays pushing down and finishes the dismount. Nice pirouette. So, overall, pretty solid routine. I think it'll score decently well.
We were joking about the names of skills. You called it a bazoogo. It sounds like something. I'd like the pasta with a side of a bazoogo.
Yeah.
Brian Rollison now. He's competing as a specialist here on the rings for the Simpson Storm.
Really strong guy. That back apparatus plunge lower into the Maltese there. Remember, the judges are looking for a 2-second hold, and that timer starts as soon as the athlete stops moving. Anything less than 2 seconds is a potential deduction.
I would say he's hitting these positions pretty great. Nice and straight, especially on the flange, and the handstands are stopping.
Oh, and a great dismount.
Good routine.
The Simpson Storm did not qualify as a complete team, but their individuals doing an outstanding job today for this program, just in its 4th year of existence. Stanford on the floor now. Nick Kubler had a 13-7 in their leadoff spot. Marcus Pietarinen up second.
Really strong start to the routine here. That is one of those passes that you just have to stick.
Meanwhile, Zach Grandos starting on pommel horse for Michigan.
I don't know, this is a guy that can hit a really solid big routine, and he's up first, so normally that means the coaches have a lot of faith in him to really set the tone for their entire horse lineup coming in. Nice long body position. I think you see a lot of horse specialists tend to be a little bit taller than the rest, and
oh man,
that's just
heartbreaking.
It's always the worst when you mess up on the dismount, especially after fighting through the routine. It's just, that's tough.
Zach Granado is one of the captains, a senior from Virginia Beach, Virginia. There's no denying your arms feel like concrete at the end of the routine. You're gassed, but this is really a very difficult skill to do when you're tired.
Yeah. I think a big part of it is, you're supposed to swing it up, but at least in my experience, it's hard to swing it up when you don't have the strength to get fully on top of the handle. So I think that's just what happened there. Maybe a little bit gassed, and just didn't have the strength to finish it.
I think in the judges' eyes, you're not supposed to show strength when you do that skill, but it's not like you're not using it. You still have to use strength to do it.
It's a good point. You just got to hide it well. Cooper Kim will be next up on floor for Stanford. Glad to have world bronze medalist Patty Hoops in the booth with Brody Malone and me, Bart Connor, as we call the action here today.
Yeah, I know Cooper Kim is usually really clean in his landings and really tight in the air. I mean, watching his vault earlier, I think it showed that how clean he can be in the air, and that's huge, especially for scoring high on floor.
Yeah, so the judges aren't just looking to take deductions on the landings. They can take deductions throughout any part of the skill. So they're really looking for what is the form in the air like when you're doing these skills. So are your toes together? Are your knees straight when they're supposed to be? Are your toes pointed in the air? And all that on top of being able to take landing deductions. There's a lot that the judges have to look for.
Cooper Kim is exceptionally clean. He is the Mountain Pacific floor exercise champion this year. Kevin Shaw will be on pommel horse for Michigan. This is an important routine because after Granados made a mistake, little extra pressure on the rest of the lineup.
Yeah, I think it's really important that he, you know, they had a little bit of a rough routine to start, but, you know, he can come in and really reset the stage for everyone. I know they have some other big routines coming on horse up next with Aaron and Fred, and so he's really hoping to make sure they have a good slate to score high.
You talked about the importance of that leadoff spot and kind of setting that tone. What was your spot in the lineup when you were competing?
I was anchor spot always, so my first 2-3 years it was 5th spot up, and then after it was 4th as they cut the lineup.
Nice.
Not everybody loves that anchor spot because the pressure's all on you if there have been some mistakes prior.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Did you have a choice?
I would much rather go second. I think that was the best one, but I didn't have a choice, so.
In the Air Force, they tell you what to do, don't they?
Yeah.
You just say yes.
Oh, what a nice ball.
Oh, that was a great ball.
Such a great ball.
Penn State, Kellen Ryan, top 20 in the NCAA. He came after Braden Erickson, had a 13-4 as their leadoff spot.
Next up on floor from Stanford, June EY.
We've already noted what a great meet Illinois is having. Currently in 3rd, holding off Penn State in the 4th spot.
Now on the horizontal bars, for Illinois,
Hassan Aidogdu.
He's opting to start out with his N-bar element group. So on high bar, on all the events, there's 4 element groups that the gymnasts have to hit. For high bar, there's the long hang element group, there's your releases, and then there's your N-bar. And it really kind of depends on the gymnast, kind of how you start your routine. Typically, gymnasts with bigger release moves kind of want to get those out of the way first because those take a lot more energy, and then they'll opt to do their N-bar and their long hang later in the routine, as those take a little bit less energy.
In-bar skills essentially are starting with elements like that where you do an endo or a stalder position where your body comes close to the bar, hence the name in-bar.
Take a look. That one caught a little bit close there, so you see how when he caught He had bent elbows there, so that opens the door for some deductions. Could be a 1/10 up to a 3/10 deduction.
We mentioned earlier Fred Richard on target for the 2028 Olympics, as are both of the gentlemen in the booth with me right now. So you all could be teammates in a couple of years in Los Angeles, and I certainly hope that's the case.
That could be fun.
It could, yeah, it would be awesome. I know Fred has put a lot of work into his horse, especially over, you know, the past year and a half, and so I'm excited to see what he puts down today. He has put up big scores this entire season, so it's looking great so far.
He really takes advantage of these flair skills here. Talk a little bit about what the judges are looking for in a flair.
So the biggest part in the flair is in the back. You don't want to lift up into a pike and have your feet pointed towards the ground. You kind of want to be flat in the back. And then they're also looking for, same as the circle, but I think it plays a bigger part in this, the rhythm of your flair. You don't want to be going too fast. But that was a great routine from Fred. I mean, almost exactly what you want to see.
That was one of the best dismounts I've seen him do at the end of a routine.
How do you characterize Fred's style on pommel horse, Patty?
He's very quick. I know he's worked on trying to connect everything together. I mean, I think that's, for me, that would be way too hard. But, you know, he's extremely talented, and it works for him. And I think it gives him a unique look where he's just kind of flowing through everything.
Ryan Benish at Theranaut.
Starting off with a release move called a Yamawaki there. Now he's getting into these N-bar elements. The move is called a talk half. Now he's getting into his release moves. That was a really well done laid out Tkachev. The judges have been, in recent years, really picky on that skill. If they see any pike at all, they're going to take deductions, and they're actually going to take away the value of that skill and give you a pike to Tkachev. So it's really crucial that you keep your hips completely straight on that. And that was a really solid routine.
Great routine.
Can't say enough about how well Illinois is doing. We spoke to the head coach, Dan Ribeiro, earlier this week, and he just sounded so concerned about whether his team could put on this kind of performance, but they're really delivering today.
They're killing it. Just got to look at
all kinds of uncharacteristic injuries beginning in the preseason, and all kinds of fluky injuries, like a broken toe stepping over a springboard, and a broken ankle playing games in the gym.
You know, gymnasts are known to be pretty goofy and clumsy.
All right, well, from pommel horse guy to pommel horse guy, here you go, Patty. Tell us a little bit about this young man, Aronson Mansberger.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore, but the past 2 years he's been absolutely killing it, winning multiple titles in the regular season. I think what makes him especially different is you see he has a more arched front to his circle. He's way more open, and that's typically, you know, what the judges want to see. It's a hard difficulty routine. He's doing a lot of big skills here and doing them near perfectly, in my opinion.
Just a dismount.
There you go.
Oh, and he flies it up.
Oh! That was that was a crazy. That was an insane save. Wow.
Oh my,
that
what just happened there?
We almost all fell off our chairs on that because it was so perfect to that point.
It was so good. It looks like he just got a little off to the side, and instead of coming off on one direction, he just pushed through and finished it an extra pirouette and stayed down on his feet.
Wow, that's a save right there.
Oh, boy. I tell you what, with the quality of his pommel horse work, though, I mean, you're going to have your hands full making that 2028 Olympic team, because what about that young man? If he hits like, you know, without the dismount, obviously, that's a pretty great routine.
Yeah, I will
serve
say
the U.S. team well.
The influx of, you know, high-scoring horse guys has just really increased in recent years. You know, it was just Steven for a little bit, and then I joined in, and now there's so many.
Tate Costa on high bar for Illinois, keeping the momentum up there. A nice release combination, and Jaden Blank for Army on rings.
dismount for Tate. That was a good routine. He's happy with that. Into his swinging elements here. See the dismount here. Tuck double-double. Oh, just
good
a
landing.
Small step there.
Nice.
Oh, and that's a really hard skill to do right there. And then he goes and connects it right there. So he actually got a 10th bonus for connecting those two skills. And let's take another look at this dismount here. Good amplitude, great form in the air.
It's amazing how that double twisting double in tuck position has become almost compulsory. Just about everybody here does the double-double.
Absolutely, it's the standard now.
It's the standard. It's probably the best way to get the full value of the dismount with the least amount of risk, even though it's still a double-double.
Yeah.
Sam Phillips will be up for Illinois. Tate Costa had a 12-9-6-6, caught that one release combination pretty close to the bar, likely about a 3/10 of a point deduction. But Illinois still showing great energy here, and Sam Phillips has already given us a couple of highlights today.
And I know he can put down a really big high bar set here. So I'm looking forward to watch this one.
Yeah, he's phenomenal on this event. Starting with a skill called a Zuli Man. That was that one-arm skill. He's gonna do that Winkler skill again. Oh my gosh. A little bit squirrely on that, but he's able to work out of it.
Nice to have those biceps to save yourself when you get in a little trouble.
Whoa. Oh my gosh. Oh. No.
What a roller coaster ride. 4 moves back to back.
Oh man, he might have hit his chin on the bar. So when you fall off an apparatus like that, you get 30 seconds to remount the equipment. That time doesn't start until you get up off the ground.
Let's take a look at what happened. It's possible that he's got a little cut underneath his chin.
Let's take a look at this whole sequence here. So this is a huge combination. So he does this end bar, tuck half into this is called a Piatti, into a Ginger here. He just took it a little bit too close. Wow, I believe he hit his chin on the bar there. There's another high flying release move there. And now onto the dismount.
It's a great finish to that routine.
That is the only hiccup so far, but what a daring routine. You can see the blood on the chin of Sam Phillips. This is just an outrageous combination.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. He just took it a little bit too close there. Oh, oh, that hurts.
Just clipped his chin right on the bar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that does not feel good.
He was smart to stay on the ground for a few seconds. Look at this, 4 moves in a row. Starts with the half tock.
Into the Piatti here, and then into the Ginger. Just took it a little close. Wasn't able to get his hands on to push his face away from the bar. Wow, oh my gosh. And that's, I mean, it's hard to connect skills in a row like that. Very risky, and I mean, you can obviously tell the kind of risks that these athletes are taking.
I've often said that gymnastics is one of the original extreme sports, and if you needed any evidence of it, you just saw it right there. Hopefully Sam Phillips can continue in this competition. He's scheduled to compete in the next rotation on floor for Illinois. which would be his final event today if he can continue. Once again, Illinois having an outstanding meet coming into this 4th rotation in the top 3, along with Stanford and Michigan. Penn State was over 7 points behind them.
For the 5th rotation, Illinois will be on the floor. Stanford will be on pommel horse. Michigan will be on rings. Army will be on vault. Penn State will be on
the NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship is tomorrow on ABC, starting at 3:30 with the championship preview, followed by the Women's National Championship at 4 p.m. on ABC. For more information, visit ncaa.com, the home for NCAA championships. And then later on that evening, you can catch the men. We'll be covering on ESPN2 the men's national championship and the search for that championship trophy that was won last year by the University of Michigan at home. The score came in for Sam Phillips. It's an 11.33. So once again in men's gymnastics, 4 up, 4 count. They'll have to count that. You can see they're wrapping his ankles because he's scheduled to be on floor in the next rotation. And it looks like he's up for it. Well, Patty Hoops, it's a pleasure to have you join us here as a commentator, and I wish you nothing but the best, along with Brody and your other Olympic teammates, as you train for the games in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thank you so much. You know, sorry I couldn't talk more about the other events besides horse. I'm kind of a one-trick pony, no pun intended, but it's been great. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you, pal. Thank you. All right. More from Champaign, Illinois. When we come back, we got a great competition. Some of the strongest athletes in the world, pound for pound, and obviously the most daring, as we've just seen. We'll be back with more in a minute. Welcome back. We're getting set for the 5th of 6 rotations here. After 4, you can see it's still Stanford and Michigan in the lead. Although look at the difference between Illinois and Penn State. It was 7 points prior to this rotation. Now it's down just to 2 points. Obviously glad to see that Sam Phillips looks like he's recovered and will be able to go on floor for Illinois in this 5th rotation. And here are the scores from that last rotation for the individuals competing from Simpson College as well as the Air Force Academy. So the real story is Illinois, Penn State. Who's going to earn that 3rd and final spot into the championship tomorrow? Illinois is on floor in this rotation. Stanford's on horse. Michigan rings. Army goes to vault. Penn State on parallel bars, and Navy on the high bar.
For Stanford,
Arun Chetri will lead off the Cardinal here.
And as Patty talked about before, that leadoff spot, Arun is supposed to just hit a nice clean routine, kind of set the tone for the rest of the rotation for Stanford. That leadoff spot's not always going to be the highest score on that event, but their job is to really just set the tone here, and Arun's doing a great job. Nice clean routine, good dismount, great start for Stanford.
Tom Gleamy says that Arun is a really solid, even-keeled guy, and he's very sarcastic, and they love him for that. He's a neuroscience major and headed to grad school, so the senior out of Culver City, California, does his job in a leadoff spot.
Absolutely. See, he takes advantage of that flare work there.
Now the rings for Michigan, Carson Eshelman.
Carson Eshelman will be up, a sophomore. Michigan currently in 2nd of the 6 teams in this session, just a little under 4 points behind the Stanford Cardinal. Rings is an outstanding event for Michigan. They're currently 3rd in the country on this event.
And now on the horizontal bars from Simpson,
Jack Fulton competing as a specialist for Air Force on the vault on the right side of your screen.
Very nice vault for Jack. And a good start for Michigan on the rings. Let's take another look at this vault here. So this is the Sukahara style entry. Really good form onto the table, great form in the air. Breaks out to spot that landing, just a small little step backwards. Probably a 1/10 step, potentially a 3/10 step.
Marcus Peterinen now on horse. Sophomore for Stanford out of Finland. Several international athletes competing for universities here in the United States. Penn State on the left side of your screen, Bobby Alessio, their leadoff performer.
And a nice routine for Marcus. See, he didn't really have any bobbles in that routine. And a nice open circle there. That's going to be a good score for Stanford.
Stanford has 2 hit routines. The key here is to hit clean, survive, qualify to the finals. Penn State, prior to this rotation, had been 7 points behind Illinois. Now they've closed that gap to just over 2.3. So Penn State was 4th. Now they've
take another look at this
themselves in the conversation.
Oh, just lands a little bit lock-legged there.
Everyone grabs their knees when they see a lock leg landing.
Yeah, that hurt my knee a little bit just watching it.
Jake Islam now for Michigan. Carson Eschleman had a 12.833 in the leadoff spot.
Kip to L hold. I believe he was trying to do a Maltese there. That was a little bit high. I don't know that the judges will give that credit. He might get credit for a plange on that. And then here's the backup rise to plange. Maybe a little bit short on that hold.
Michigan and Stanford are so strong as teams that they actually can vary their lineup a little bit. They have enough depth that they may choose some other people in the final, in the championship round.
Absolutely. They're going to want to rest some of their top guys on these events. Right. Kind of save them for tomorrow. So these lineups that we're seeing today are not necessarily what we'll see tomorrow from these teams if they make it to the championship round.
Here's Asher Hong. He's on pommel horse.
Asher's one of those guys, you look at him, you think he's a rings guy.
Sure.
But he can actually swing some horse. He is so strong, and he's worked really hard on this event.
Peterinen had a 13.466.
That's a little bit of a mistake there. He was supposed to connect those two things. So he's going to be missing some start value now. Oh, he's a little off, using a little muscle. You can see how he's kind of piking those hips a little bit. The judges are definitely taking notes there. Every one of those little hip changes, every body change in a circle is a 1/10 deduction for the judges.
Oh, yeah, but hats off to this guy because he's not built for pommel horse.
He is not.
He just wills himself through a pretty darn hard routine.
He absolutely does.
He's a beast.
Oh my gosh, and like I was saying before, anytime you can get off of the horse without falling, to me, in my book, that's a win. And, you know, it was a little bit of a struggle for Asher, but he fought through to the end, and he didn't come off. He didn't have any major bobbles or major deductions, so that's not the hit he was looking for, but it'll do for now.
Well done for Asher Hong. Nothing about him says pommel horse, and yet he does a pretty darn nice job. Well done. Joseph Hale Jake Islam had a 12-2, and Carson Eschleman, their leadoff guy, had a 12-8-3-3. Nice positions.
Nice position there. Yeah, that backup rise to planche and then lowering into that Maltese position. Very nice backup rise to Maltese position.
One of those swing to strength positions is one of those requirements.
And just the dismount here. A little bit of an easier dismount. But lands it nicely. It's a strong routine. I think Michigan is definitely saving some of their top ring guys for tomorrow's competition.
They have the luxury of the depth to be able to do that, rest a couple of guys, make it through to the finals, and then lay it all on the line in the championship. Stanford is well known for doing that as well.
Absolutely.
The ability to rest a couple of guys.
It's a nice luxury to have. Very nice vault there.
Jaden Blank for Army on ball. We go back to pommel horse. Kira Mandava. Score came in for Asher Hong, 12-6-3-3. They had to put the arm on that routine in a couple of places, and judges took deductions therefore.
Kieran is definitely one of those athletes. Fits the pommel horse build a little bit more than others. He's tall. Oh, that's a very hard skill right there. Tall, lanky. He's able to open that circle up and get that good extension. That was a great routine.
You know, it's important to note with Stanford that this is almost a completely new team, except for a couple of guys from last year. I mean, you think back to Stanford over the years, Taylor Burkhart, Colt Walker, Brandon Wynn, Ian Lasik Ellis, Coy Young. I mean, all of these guys are legends, and they've graduated. So there's a lot of new faces on this team and guys who didn't normally get in the lineup.
Absolutely.
Garrett Schooley now, superb on floor.
Wow, that's a very hard opening tumbling pass right there. A double layout with 2 twists. Garrett is really well known for being a powerful tumbler. He's a great floor vault guy.
Akshay Puri on rings now, the final competitor for Michigan there. Joseph Hale had their highest score, 13-166.
Very good Maltese position on rings. You can always tell when they're ring guys, they almost look weightless when they're doing these strength skills like that. Nice dismount there. Finishing up on floor, Garrett. It's a great routine from him.
Garrett has contributed often in the all-around, but he's especially well known for his powerful floor exercise and vaults. Here's the battle between Illinois and Penn State. Eliran Yoskovich now, freshman from Tel Aviv, Israel. Landon Simpson had a 13.066. Karsikis before him a 13.133.
A little bit of a struggle there. You can see he's taking steps forward. He wanted to end up more towards the middle of the bar. But shot out a little bit early. So he had to take some steps forward there. And each one of those steps that he's taken, every time he moves his hand, is a 10th off.
He's 6 feet tall, which is extremely tall for a top-level gymnast, a member of the Israeli national team. And he fought his way through that set.
He did. It's always nice when you're struggling a little bit in a routine to kind of put an exclamation point on it and stick that dismount.
Remember, every 10th is going to count because it's coming down to Illinois and Penn State for that third and final spot into the championship tomorrow night. Stanford and Michigan comfortably out in front of the rest of the field. Important routine here for Illinois. Here's Tate Costa.
Very nice front double pike. Into that connection pass there. As I mentioned before, he gets a 1/10 connection bonus for doing that, and that is added to his start value.
That's one of those non-acrobatic skills. It's called a mana. It's essentially a high V.
Very hard.
Very difficult. Takes enormous strength and flexibility.
Absolutely, it does. Now, my dad got really upset with me when I was younger because I could never do that skill. And he used to spot me on it before I would go to bed every night when I was younger. Because for some reason, he thought that if I could do that, then I would be able to beat everybody.
Seemed like it worked out okay for you.
It worked out, but I was never able to do a mana, so.
Okay, this is a guy here, Tate Costa, recovering from a broken ankle. He's got an AC joint sprain, but the coaching staff said he's an absolute savage in the gym. He refuses to give up, keeps fighting every day. Rarely takes a light day. Sounds like a Brody Malone to me.
Let's take a look at this first pass here. Beautiful front double pike. You can see how much power he's got there, that he has to take a hop forward.
Sam Phillips, we saw that brutal crash on high bar. Here he's set to go to floor. Here's Lauren with more.
Yeah, Sam Phillips certainly bouncing back from that one. He's been super locked in and focused, and of course this routine on floor, very important for him. Coach Ribeiro told me it's possible he needs stitches, but they said, hey, we just got to get him through this event. They really need this score to count, obviously, as they hope to get into that third spot in the finals tomorrow. And Sam Phillips, though, a big competitor for them, and it's certainly fun to watch him compete.
He was a last-minute substitute on floor at the Big Tens. He's recovering from a pectoralis muscle strain and an Achilles tear last year, so he has taken a beating for his Fighting Illini, but he's not given up, and this is an important routine right here. Tough battle between Illinois and Penn State.
Oh, really cool skill right there. That's called a double Arabian. Not a lot of people do it like he just did. He did it in a piked position. Most people just do it tucked. See, he's doing his non-acrobatic element here. A little bit of a bobble there. It's all right, though. That connection pass that he gets 1/10 bonus for. Ooh, I liked that. One arm front handspring. The dismount here.
Oh, yes. You talk about a tough guy.
Yeah.
He took a hit from that high bar. Probably the similar impact of getting hit by Mike Tyson under the chin. And he comes back with a floor routine like that.
And to stick the dismount at the end of that.
Here's a seventh-year
awesome.
senior, one of the team captains, providing a uplifting moment in this tight battle. Can Illinois make it in to tomorrow's championship? If they do, Sam Phillips will have played a big part. Boom.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like you mentioned, that's like taking a hit from Mike Tyson right to the chin right there.
Oh, good thing he's okay. I've often said pound for pound, these are some of the toughest athletes in the world and certainly among the strongest. And he is just fired up.
And I'll tell you what, he has just rallied this team. He has been over here. He just ran over and said, look, we've got one more. Let's get this done. And I know this team is really pushing for this. They've had so many injuries all season long, and you could just tell Sam was not going to let that bar routine get in the way of him coming back and helping them on the floor and helping them advance.
Of course, Illinois will be going to the pommel horse, which is an outstanding event traditionally for them to finish out this competition. We have quite a battle here. Stanford and Michigan, as predicted, the top two. Sam Phillips' scores come in as a 13-1-6-6. So it looks like by 1.4, Illinois is holding on to that third spot, just holding off the Penn State Nittany Lions for that third and final spot in tomorrow's championship. It's all going to come down to this sixth rotation, and that happens when we come back. Woohoo! Okay, the stage is set for a thrilling sixth and final rotation here in the national qualifiers, session number 2. As we've talked all day long, it's Stanford and Michigan. They're out in front, they're comfortable, they're going to make it through. The battle is all about the home team, Illinois, and Penn State. Those two teams battling for the third and final spot, and they're only separated by 1.4. I'm Bart Connor along with Brody Malone, and boy, we've seen it all today. Illinois started out with great energy, and of course, Sam Phillips takes that on the chin and still comes back and delivers on the floor. What are you seeing here that impresses you?
Oh my gosh, I mean, just the relentlessness from Illinois right now. I mean, going into this last rotation, Illinois does have a 1.4 point lead here, but I mean, a lot can change. Pommel horse is one of those make or break events. A lot can happen. But for Penn State as well, high bar is one of those events that's kind of similar to pommel horse. They score similarly, but you got to catch your release moves on high bar. There's a lot of riskiness going on over there. So this is going to be an interesting last rotation.
All right, let's put it in perspective, the scores. Okay, so look at Illinois' score on pommel horse. Their NQA is their national qualifying average. They've averaged about a 52.425 throughout the year. At the bottom of that table, Penn State has averaged a 51.5 on high bar. So we will be watching those two teams particularly in this sixth and final rotation to see who can come out on top. Remember, here in this final rotation, Navy's on the floor, Illinois on the pommel horse, Stanford on the rings, Michigan vault, Army on parallel bars, and Penn State. But the battle really here is Penn State on high bar and Illinois on pommel horse. That's the story in this sixth and final rotation. Those two teams separated by just less than a point and a half. Navy's on floor, and that's Daniel Gurovich, 13th in the NCAA on this event. Navy is currently in 5th place.
Oh.
6th place, pardon me.
It's a really hard opening tumbling pass there. Just landed a little bit short and had to roll backwards. See, this is his non-acrobatic element here. Triple Russian on the floor. Back 2.5. He meant to do a front layout there, I believe. So maybe landed a little bit short on that back 2.5 and just wasn't able to get quite the punch that he wanted there. Good dismount to finish. Not what he wanted.
Number Remember, Stanford has led wire to wire today. Reese Landsberger will be on rings in his 6th and final rotation. Talked to Tom Gleamy a little earlier. He's not at all nervous about advancing to the championship round. He knows what he's got, even though he's replacing more than half of the routines from last year's team, from the athletes who had graduated.
A little bit of a bobble there on that shoot to handstand. Oh, wow, but
that's a beast.
The iron cross pull up to the L hold there. That is, I can't express how hard that is to do.
Superhuman.
Really big double-double there.
Stanford quite comfortable in that first spot. No pressure on these gentlemen.
So let's see right here. He does the backup rise into the iron cross, which is hard enough in and of itself.
Yeah. And then
he decides, oh, I'm just gonna pull out of it.
Yeah.
All the way up to support.
Apparently gravity does not apply to this.
It doesn't.
Okay, we talked about the battle here now is Illinois on pommel horse and Penn State on high bar. And here goes Illinois' Connor Miklos.
Really just looking for a solid start here. Good routine, no big mistakes or big bobbles. He's doing a great job so far. Really nice Russian work there. That skill is called a woo. Into a Tong Fei. Up to the dismount. Really strong start for Illinois. Oh yeah, and they're pumped.
The home crowd is pumped. They know they're on the verge of getting their team into the championship round, and what a year of adversity they've had, but they are just killing it, showing enormous perseverance and tenacity tonight.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they started off so strong with 4 sticks on rings, and feels like they've just had momentum ever since then. They have not taken their foot off the gas at all.
Sam Phillips takes one on the chin and keeps going, and provided another bit of inspiration for this team. Kasper Goncharik for Penn State.
Penn State cannot afford any mistakes on this event. They need to hit 4 for 4 here, and they need to be good hits.
Next up on ball from
nice laid out to Kochev to start. Going into the Kovacs element. That's a
Oh my goodness. So a fall is a 1-point deduction.
Oh, that is not what they were wanting.
Oh my goodness.
Let's take a look here. He just kind of missed that first hand there. He got the second hand on, but really just wasn't able to get that first hand on.
Goncharik, one of the team captains. He's a member of the Polish national team, hoping to make the 2028 Olympics. As he's finishing his routine over there on pommel horses, Tate Costa.
So that
getting
fall
set to go. Connor Miklos on Illinois at a 13-5 in the leadoff spot.
That fall on pommel horse, or on high bar, gives Illinois a little bit of breathing room here. Oh, and another mistake on the ride on high bar. He was supposed to keep going in the same direction. So that's a 5/10 deduction there for change of direction. And Tate just put down a phenomenal routine.
So there's the contrast right there.
Yep.
Tate Costa lifting up his team and the home crowd with a great performance. And unfortunately for Penn State, Goncharik with 2 mistakes in that routine. Penn State, 12-time NCAA champions. Their last was back in 2004, but it looks like they may not advance if Illinois keeps pouring it out on pommel horse.
Yeah, Penn
It's
State.
academic for Stanford at this point. Nicholas Kubuler. Chetri before him a 13.333. Landsberger at a 13.3.
Wow, those are some beautiful strength moves there.
Next up on vault from Michigan,
Solon Chiotti now up on vault. Eli Osuna had a strong 13.9. We talk vault is typically one of the highest scoring events in men's gymnastics.
That was a huge stuck dismount for Nick Kubler.
Kubler drilled that layout double-double,
Wow.
the hardest dismount in the competition so far today.
Absolutely. We've seen so many guys do this dismount tucked, but he's the first one we've seen that does it laid out.
Effortless.
Oh my gosh. Let's take another look at the vault here. Good form in the air there. Ooh, little wonky on that landing. So his foot was really close to that line there, but his foot has to go over the outside of the line to get a neutral deduction, so he's safe from that.
Preston Nye now. Tate Costa, a 13.633.
Important routine here for Illinois.
At the same time he's on pommel horse, it's Landon Simpson coming after Goncharek had only a 10.9 for Penn State. Here's the battle right here.
Penn State really needing Illinois to mess up here. Little bit of a bobble there. He's still on.
Oh, what a save!
Wow.
Oh no! And a fall, another fall for Penn State.
Oh my gosh.
Devastating. So at the same moment, Preston Nye saved the end of that pommel horse routine. Simpson goes down. Brutal.
Oh my gosh. Same skill as the last athlete. Just couldn't get that second hand on the bar. And that might seal the deal for Illinois.
Quite likely now because 2 falls. Actually a total of 3 mistakes so far for Penn State in this final rotation. Asher Hong coming after Kubler had a 13.866. Here's Hong, who is just a beast on this event.
As we mentioned earlier when he was on pommel horse, he definitely does not look like a pommel horse guy. He definitely looks like a ring guy. And you can see right there with, that is one of the hardest skills that you can do on rings. The Azarian to the Maltese. And this is the first that we've seen in this competition, an inverted cross there. That is so hard to do.
A lot of guys don't do it these days because they get so many deductions. They're just too high.
Yeah, it's so hard to do it completely level with the bottom of the rings, but he did that so well.
And there's a second layout double-double.
Another laid out double-double.
Nothing to it.
Oh my gosh, he sticks that all the time
He
too.
does too.
Oh my gosh, that's a bit of a shorter routine than he's capable of doing. He's definitely resting for tomorrow. Let's take another look at the dismount here. And just beautiful. Knows exactly where he's at in the air, and he's able to just drop into the landing.
Okay, so we mentioned this gentleman at the top of the show, Brandon Dang, one of the best on the planet on this event, although he has struggled in the past at the NCAA championships, including a fall last year, but he is the top guy in the country here, and he can seal the deal for the Fighting Illini, earning them a spot into tomorrow night's championship with a hit routine here.
Wow, that's
beautiful.
a really unique skill.
Oh my goodness.
It's called the Minukin. A new skill, I believe it was created this year, or last year, excuse me. Really high valued skill. And you can just see Brandon, I mean, he's definitely a pommel horse guy. He's tall, skinny, which has really great lines, and he is delivering a routine right here.
That was brilliant. How about that?
Oh my gosh, that was awesome.
Oh,
I think that does it for
Sam
Illinois.
Phillips says, that's my guy. Daniel Ribeiro, the head coach, just walked in front of us with a big smile on his face.
Gosh.
All the things they've been up against this year. And what a time to finish on pommel horse with a world-class routine.
Oh my gosh, and yeah, he was my teammate at the 2025 World Championships last year.
Here's a guy who could compete in the finals of the Worlds or the Olympics any day.
Absolutely. Just absolutely world-class gymnastics.
So at this point, the score is almost irrelevant because Illinois hit, and unfortunately for Penn State, struggling on high bar, the home team will certainly advance along with Stanford and Michigan to tomorrow night's championship final, setting the stage for a thrilling night of gymnastics on ESPN2. Fred Richard will be the final vaulter for the University of Michigan. Landon Blix, just before him, had a 14.2. Yesterday, he was awarded the Nissen Emery Award, which is the top athlete, student athlete in college gymnastics.
A little bit around the side there, but a good landing. All right. So watch the way he enters to the table here. Just a little bit crooked. That's definitely something the judges are looking for. They want you to be completely straight on top of that table. So small deduction there, but
he's allowed to use that supplemental mat. It's called a sting mat, and for the very reason it takes the sting out of the ankles a little bit when you land.
It definitely does.
But both Michigan and Stanford, with plenty of gas left in the tank, will comfortably qualify to the championship final. But the big story here is Illinois will advance with a season high 3:19.658, and what a time to do it.
No better time than right now.
Talking to Daniel Ribeiro earlier this week, boy, he just seems so nervous about the upcoming competition because of the injuries and the adversity they've dealt with. But he's a psychologist in a way too, as well as a coach, and he kept telling his team, keep believing, we can do this, we got the guys.
Absolutely. Dan is really great about, you know, bringing the team together and, you know, trying to create that team camaraderie, and he's been a real asset to Team USA as well, as some of his athletes have been on the men's senior national team, and he's really trying to bring that camaraderie back to the sport because, you know, when you go through an NCAA program, that is part of it. You have to have that team component, the team aspect. The team is everything. And that's a real advantage that we have in the U.S. versus other countries.
Well, a great night for Illinois, but a great night as well for Stanford Cardinal. They win this session 2 easily. And their head coach, Tom Gleamy, is with Lauren right now.
Coach, you seem pretty calm right now after that one. Hit in advance. How did you see your team take care of business tonight?
They did well. A couple of hiccups. We watered down in some places, trying to keep some energy for tomorrow. So I was surprised at a couple little things, but nothing major. So, you know, we still have a good amount of room to improve. So.
You mentioned earlier not getting a lot of time for recovery because of the late night session. What does that look like for you guys later tonight and tomorrow as you get ready to reset?
Yeah, we'll grab some food, and then they'll hit some recovery stuff. They're going to be sleeping in if they can, and then back here tomorrow and hopefully do even better.
What's it going to take to win a title?
I think it's going to be the team that goes 24 for 24 is a strong contender to take it. I think probably consistency. What I'm seeing across the board is the difficulty is pretty aligned. We do have a little bit more to add, but I think everyone does.
All right, thanks, Coach. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Go Card.
All right, there are the Stanford fans in full force. The farm well represented here in Champaign, Illinois. They, along with Michigan, will advance. But the story tonight really was Illinois having a season high to earn that third and final spot in tomorrow's championship final. Oh, what a thrilling day of gymnastics here in Champaign, Illinois, in session 2 of the 2026 qualifiers for the men's NCAA championship round, which will be tomorrow night. We saw some of the toughest athletes in the world deliver great performances tonight. Here are the teams from tonight's session. Stanford, Michigan, Illinois, the 3 teams that advance. By the way, Stanford at 327.992 is a season high. Michigan coasted through, and that season high for Illinois. So here are the 6 teams that make it in tomorrow's championship round, which is at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Oklahoma, Michigan, Stanford, Nebraska, Ohio State, and Illinois. Let's go down to Lauren Sisler, who is with Illinois' happy coach, Daniel Ribeiro.
A happy coach indeed. You walked over here, a huge sigh of relief.
Yes, yeah, it was. That was an exciting finish. The last 2 events we made things interesting, but the guys just came together and rocked Pommel Horse.
Resilience has been a big theme for your team. Of course, Sam Phillips going down with the chin injury, getting stitches right now as we speak. How did you see him step up as a senior leader on this team and really get things done?
I mean, it was incredible. He did floor after he had a gaping hole in his chin on high bar. Came back, hit a great floor set with a stick for us to bring the energy back for us to go to Pommel Horse and finish the job. So Philly is such a strong leader for us, and he did it again for us.
Okay, we've got the cheering section over here, chanting your name, chanting my name. I'm feeling the love here. How excited are you for tomorrow, getting to compete in front of your home crowd?
Oh, I'm so excited. This was, like you said, it was such a monkey off the back. Getting into second day, now we can really let it loose, put in pressing in the all-around, and go out and do the best we can.
All right, Coach, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Daniel Ribeiro and his Fighting Illini. He said the whole year has been a chaotic mess, but it's given them resilience and belief that they could finish strong, and that's exactly what they did. The story of the night is the home team advances to tomorrow's championship. When we come back, we'll wrap this one up from Champaign. What a day of thrilling gymnastics.